Welcome back. The publish phase is where we're going to begin. And this is for someone that doesn't have a book and needs the correct book written so that they can be positioned in their marketplace as the go-to expert. The publish phase has 3 specific steps, and I'm going to take a few minutes with you and go through each one of these steps. Step number 1 in the publish phase is what we call the foundation. Now, in many ways, the foundation is the place where a lot of would-be authors make a big mistake. See, oftentimes people have been thinking about writing a book for many, many years by the time they come to us. And so they've thought, what expertise do I have, or what story do I have that I would like to share with my marketplace or with my audience? And while those are good things to consider, the big challenge that you have to avoid in building the right foundation is to make sure that you don't share your story for yourself, but rather you share your story for your audience. In other words, how can your story help your audience and make an impact on them? So let me explain what we do in this foundation phase to make sure that the correct book is written. So the first thing we do when a new client begins with us is we set them up with a call with one of our project managers. We ask them to fill out a couple of forms. One in particular we call the Author Market Questionnaire. In the Author Market Questionnaire, we're going to ask questions about your market. We want to know, regarding your audience, what are their fears? What are their worries? What are their concerns? What are their aspirations and their desires? And how do you benefit that audience? In other words, how can you solve their problems, their biggest issues? How can you help them to reach their goals and their ambitions? When you fill out this form as detailed as possible, the project manager is then going to use that form in a brainstorming session with you to build out this foundation. The foundation is where we craft the hook for your book, as well as the title, the subtitle, and the table of contents. You see, your book can be your platform for the next 10, 15, 20 years or beyond. So you want to make sure that you're writing it for the correct audience, you're attracting the right person to you, and you're writing it with a message that appeals to that correct audience. This is what we do in the foundation phase. Really crucial, but that's where we come up with your hook, your title, your subtitle, and your table of contents, and we do it all with you. Once that step is complete, and typically that can take as long as 2 to 4 weeks, we then move into the creation phase. The creation phase is where our project manager then transitions you to one of our staff ghostwriters. Now, we don't do traditional ghostwriting at Bestseller Publishing. And the reason we don't do that is because we found that oftentimes traditional ghostwriting, you can lose your voice when doing it in a traditional manner. So we want to make sure that your voice is captured in your book. So here's how we do it to ensure that that takes place. We let every one of our authors know that the creation phase is going to be done with the ghostwriter, so you do one recording per chapter that you're creating. And that recording of that chapter's content is going to be done in a presentation style format. So as an example, just like you are going to be speaking to 20 people or 50 people or 100 people, and you are crafting a message with a story and with a few main points, we want you to create your chapter content in the same way. So you're going to get on a recorded conference line with the ghostwriter, and you're going to go through your presentation. You're going to start with a story. You're then going to hit the 2 or 3 main points in that particular chapter, and then you're going to tie it all together with case studies or with that story to illustrate the points that you've made. When you do that for every single chapter, and typically we do 1 chapter a week, but we can do it faster if you like, but when you do it for every chapter, we're then going to have hundreds of pages of material for you. Now, it's just transcripted material, but it's captured your voice. At that point, all of that material will then go to the ghostwriter, and by this time it's probably taken 2 or 3 months for all of that content to be created. Then the ghostwriter for the next 4 to 6 weeks is going to take that rough material, that transcripted material, and is going to turn it into your perfect book. It's going to be short, punchy sentences, correct paragraphs. It's going to have bullet points, correct introductions, conclusions. The last thing you want to do is just take a transcript and put it in a book and put a cover on it. That doesn't work. That's not a real book. We have to then do the creation to make sure that we have a great book, high quality, something that will position you exactly the way you want to be positioned. The last phase, or step rather, of the publish phase is what we call the execution. The execution is where we take now that manuscript that has been created for you, it's been edited, and now we have to execute so that that manuscript is live. So we're going to format that. We're going to design a professional cover for you with our own internal graphic designer that does that. We're going to format it for a digital version as well as a physical version. We're going to do the interior design, the exterior design, all of the standard publishing pieces like the ISBN numbers, the distribution, etc. All of that is done in the execution. From start to finish, this publish phase is about a 5-month process. It could be faster depending on the creation phase and how quickly you can create the content. But most of our authors are busy entrepreneurs, so if they can dedicate 1 hour, hour and a half at the most a week to us, then we can get this entire phase done in 5 months. That's the publish phase, and that's how we go from nothing to having your book for your audience positioned perfectly, formatted, both a physical version and a digital version. That is the publish phase of Publish, Promote, and Profit.